This is Mac OS Ken.
Wedbush is still way into Apple. Ming-Chi sees no problem in the supply chain. And payment news of all sorts around Apple. It is Wednesday, the 10th of August, 2022. I'm Ken Ray, and this is news from Mac OS Ken, brought to you by yours truly and sponsored by Ladder. Smart, dynamic term life insurance. Learn more at ladderlife.com/macOSKen. This show is also sponsored by BetterHelp, online therapy. You get one brain. It's not fair, but it's true. You get one brain. How we care for our mind affects how we experience everything. So it's important to keep it healthy. For help, there's BetterHelp. BetterHelp is online therapy that offers video, phone, and even text therapy sessions. However you are most comfortable, that's how BetterHelp works. You tell them what kind of counselor you're looking for and what you'd like to work on, and they look through the thousands of professionals with whom they work to find the right therapist for you. And if the therapist they find ends up not being a fit, changing is easy and does not cost anything extra. Had that happen to me one time. Ended up with a much better therapist for me. Really easy. It's much more affordable than in-person therapy, and you can be matched with a therapist in under 48 hours. Mac OS Ken listeners get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/macOSKen. That's betterhelp.com/macOSKen. Get started today at betterhelp.com/macOSKen. Wedbush analyst Daniel Ives is still high on Apple. On Tuesday, Apple 3.0 ran part of a note he wrote. In it, he predicted tough times for smaller tech firms. Though tech as an idea, the fourth industrial revolution, he calls it, will power through. His top three tech stocks for at least the remainder of this year: Palo Alto Networks, Microsoft, and Apple. On the Cupertino company specifically, Mr. Ives wrote, with China issues and supply chain as a peak issue in the rearview mirror for now, Cook & Company laser-focused their sights on the iPhone 14 production demand cycle for the September launch of this next key iPhone model. We estimate roughly 225 million Apple customers have not upgraded their iPhones in 3.5 years, creating a strong pent-up demand story with iPhone 14, despite the darkening global macro backdrop. We maintain our outperform rating and price target of $200. If that sounds familiar, that's really not surprising. Apple 3.0's Philip Elmer-DeWitt points out that Ives has been saying the hundreds of millions of iPhones not upgraded thing for quite a while. Elmer-DeWitt figures Ives will keep saying it as long as there are iPhones worth the upgrade. Well, if you're holding onto your iPhone for 3.5 years, I mean, even if iPhone after iPhone after iPhone is deemed evolutionary, not revolutionary, evolution 4 phones from now, that would feel like a revolution. For Apple to support the 200-something million iPhone upgraders Wedbush analyst Daniel Ives is expecting, Apple's going to need 200-something million iPhones. Right now, TF International analyst Ming-Chi says that shouldn't be a problem. Young MC took to Twitter on Tuesday with a quick update on the state of the supply chain. Quoting the Post, although some investors have recently worried that the mass production and shipment schedule of the iPhone 14 models may be affected by geopolitics, my latest survey indicates that there are currently no impacts on the supply chain of the iPhone 14 models. He's probably talking about the made in Taiwan versus Taiwan-China issue. We talked earlier this week about China's insistence that Taiwan is actually part of China. Therefore, stuff made in Taiwan should be labeled Taiwan China or Chinese Taipei. It has actually been a rule in China for a while, though China pretty much let it slide. However, thanks to a recent visit to Taiwan by Speaker of the U.S. House of Representatives Nancy Pelosi, China may stop looking the other way on such labeling. That could lead to fines or even rejection of Taiwanese imports into China, which could gum up the iPhone 14 works. For now, though, Ming-Chi says, the machine seems to be humming along. Whatever Apple did to get regulators off its back in South Korea seems to have missed the mark. South Korea requires app stores, including those run by Apple and Google, to allow developers to employ third-party payment options rather than being forced to use the payment mechanisms set up by the companies. A piece from TechCrunch says both Apple and Google have agreed to that, with each providing a 4% discount from App Store fees for using alternative payment operators. Now the piece says South Korea's communication watchdog, the Korea Communications Commission, or KCC, said Tuesday it will investigate Apple and Google over potential violations of the country's in-app payment rule. They make it sound new. It is not. The report indicates that the government is actually kicking an ongoing investigation up a notch. According to the report, the KCC says it's been looking into the practices of Apple, Google, and the South Korean app store called One Store since the middle of May. Somewhere along the way, it decided that the companies may have breached South Korea's Telecommunication Act passed last year. Corrective action and fines are likely if the firms are found guilty. The next round of investigation begins next Tuesday, the 16th of August. No word on a timeline for the proceedings. It turns out AmBank was only a couple of days early on its announcement. I told you yesterday that the Malaysian bank AmBank jumped the gun over the weekend, posting, then quickly pulling news that it was now supporting, or was supported by, the contactless payment solution, Apple Pay. Well, now it is. A piece from the Mac Observer says Apple Pay has gone live with a number of financial institutions in Malaysia. Those include Maybank, Standard Chartered Bank, and yes, AmBank. In a local press release, the piece says Apple said Malaysian customers with Visa and MasterCard issued by Maybank, AmBank, and Standard Chartered Bank will be able to use Apple Pay. The announcement also listed a number of retailers ready to take pay the Apple Pay way. According to the release, merchants such as KFC, Maxis, Machines, McDonald's, Maiden, Pizza Hut, Starbucks, U-Mobile, Uniqlo, Village Grocer, and Watsons, and apps and websites including Shopee, Sephora, Atom, and Adidas now offer customers the ability to pay with Apple Pay. With Malaysia in the mix, the Cupertino company says Apple Pay is now up and running in over 60 countries and regions. It supports, or is supported by, more than 10,000 bank and network partners worldwide, according to Apple. It seems Goldman Sachs' problem with Apple Card was all the people using Apple Card. According to a headline from CNBC, Apple Card's rapid growth, outside vendors blame for mishaps within Goldman's credit card business. I told you earlier this week that the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau is investigating Goldman's credit card business, which mostly consists of Apple Card business. CNBC said then that the agency was investigating the bank's account management practices, including with respect to the application of refunds, crediting of non-conforming payments, billing error resolution, advertisements, and reporting to credit bureaus. What the world's hearing now from CNBC is not a finding from the CFPB nor from the bank itself, not officially. Secret sources said to know something about something as usual bring us the story, remembering that this was pretty much Goldman's entry into the consumer credit card thing. The secret peeps say the card's rapid growth and new platform built to service it created difficulties, resulting in failures. They didn't expect as many chargebacks as they got, according to the report. funny, not funny enough, those appear to be the area of focus for regulators. The secret so-and-so says we were making the case that we have a seamless way to dispute transactions, but we got no credit for the front end, and we had some failures on the back end. The source or sources for the report liken the Apple Card problems to growing pains attributable to a few points. They include the bank's decision to build its own systems rather than relying on the same systems other cards have used for decades, outsourcing customer care to third parties instead of building a workforce of folks who knew their system, and staggering growth for Apple Card. I will say all that makes sense, and yet, when people's money gets messed up, they're not usually as concerned with your problems as they are with the problems your problems are creating for them. CNBC source sounds like somebody inside the Apple Card machine. Officially, though, neither Goldman Sachs nor Apple offered comment for the report. More news in a moment, but first a word from Ladder. Smart, dynamic term life insurance. There is so much you want to do for your family, and there's no doubt you can do it, provided nothing goes wrong. But if something does go wrong, then who's providing? You don't want to leave your kids or your partner with financial issues that you're not there to handle. That's why people get life insurance, especially term coverage, which is surprisingly affordable. Why not pay a bit each month to protect the ones you love? If you're thinking about it, choose Ladder. When you go through Ladder, everything happens online. No doctors, no needles, and no paperwork when you apply for $3 million in coverage or less. That said, if you do want to talk to someone, Ladder has a team of licensed agents who do not work on commission. They're not there to upsell. They're there to help. And it really couldn't be simpler. Going through the initial screening took me less time than you will spend listening to today's show. So go to ladderlife.com/macOSKen today to see if you're instantly approved. That's LADDER life.com/macOSKen. ladderlife.com/macOSKen. Word of some bug-fixing updates for you iMovie and Final Cut Pro folks. Apple Insider says the Cupertino company released version 10.3.4 of iMovie on Tuesday, along with version 10.6.4 of Final Cut Pro 10. According to Apple's release notes, according to the article, the updates address an issue that caused video frames to be out of order during export or playback. That bug fix was the only listed addition in Apple's release notes. As day follows night, so the latest software for Apple's public testing program follows betas for developers. Earlier this week, we heard word that Apple had hit members of its developer program with the 5th betas of iOS and iPadOS 16, macOS Ventura, watchOS 9, and tvOS 16. Now a piece from Apple Insider says members of Apple's public beta program have gotten their 3rd seeds of the software. If you're in the public program, you know what to do. If you're not but wish you were, info awaits at beta.apple.com. Remember, though, beta software should only be run on test devices or spare devices, not on mission-critical machines. Not to be taken internally. Consult your physician, check your local listings, and don't go swimming until at least an hour after. Some secret updates from Apple are apparently about to be less secretive. You know how we often hear of new builds of firmware for AirPods with no indication what that firmware does? Yeah, it seems we will hear soon. Or read. According to a piece from Mac Rumors, in the 5th developer beta of iOS 16, navigating to Settings, then General, then About, then AirPods, and tapping on Firmware version leads to a new page indicating that AirPods firmware details are available at support.apple.com, complete with a link to a support document that will likely be published by the time iOS 16 is publicly released in September. Won't change the way mustard tastes, still kinda neat to know. And finally today, something new for earbuds, your skin tone. Roughly. A piece from Engadget says Apple's subsidiary Beats has joined forces with Kim Kardashian to introduce Beats X Kim, yet another custom version of Beats Fit Pro. The piece says the trio of colors are made to either blend in or stand out. While not as hard to get as some past Beats exclusives, Beats X Kim can be had from just any Apple store. Engadget says only 10 Tony Apple locations will have them, including the Fifth Avenue store in New York City, Regent Street in London, and Champs-Élysées in Paris. Fashion chains like Selfridges in the UK and Essence in Canada will carry them. They'll also be sold on Apple's site, on Amazon in North America, and on WeChat in China. You know, it really is a fascinating thing. On the one hand, they bring an air of exclusivity, going places like the Champs-Élysées and Selfridges. At the same time, you can get them on Amazon, where you can get everything. Engadget says Beats X Kim will sell for the standard Fit Pro price of $200 in Canada, France, Germany, Japan, the UK, and the US. You can see them on Apple's site now, though you can't buy them yet. They go on sale next Wednesday, the 17th of August, at 10 a.m. Eastern. It's kind of weird to me that a company that brought skin tone matching emoji needs somebody famous for being famous to intro the idea of skin tone matching earbuds, but cool, bud. Whatever pumps up the jam. macOS Ken, brought to you by me and sponsored by BetterHelp. Get 10% off your first month at betterhelp.com/macOS Ken. This show is also sponsored by Ladder, smart, dynamic term life insurance. Learn more at ladderlife.com/macOS Ken. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media, online at backbeatmedia.com. You can reach me a couple of ways. Info at macosken.com or call 716-780-4080. Until next time, that is news from macOS Ken. I'm Ken Ray.
Ciao.